Really, without the testing that we missed and the weather that we battled this weekend, it'll be interesting to see if we're still able to maintain that tight spread across the 32 cars, or if we do have a couple of guys that make the mid-50s moonshots, and then other guys are on the back end just hoping to make it A to B and get in this field.
Historically speaking, the bump spot at this race tends to roam from a 62 to a 64. I don't expect that part to change that much. To me, it's going to be where the front of the field ends up, because the Cartuccios of the world, even the run that Kai Kelly put down yesterday, Jason Scruggs ran that 57. To me, those are the guys that get to walk up here with the clanking noise between their legs and really see what's available for performance.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to say that we want to put a certain performance cap on these cars when we're making the rules, but we've generally shot for like a 360, 359. Yep. So to see guys go 357 out there is not unexpected with the weather conditions, and we'll see how low that ends up going.
Trouble for Rodriguez. Meanwhile, Baldoff shoots his way in the field. 363.2, 208 miles an hour, moves himself into the top half for the moment at 15.
Jericho has been running strong at all of our events. He's kind of a sleeper, a guy that you know, is always right there and consistent, but he seems to really be in the top half of the field and has this track figured out. I think there's several of these guys that come here. Ken Q, he's a killer. He's a killer at this track.
Yes.
Obviously a great racer.
Mickey as well, always runs like the blazes here too,
Yeah, so I think you see guys that really have this place figured out and race here enough and have had enough success that they're able to come out here off the trailer and make a run like Ken made yesterday.
For Baldoff, you know, it's for whatever reason, those guys are in the concrete business, and it's like concrete guys and drag racing go together hand in hand. There's a lot of good concrete guys over the years that have done very well in drag racing.
Yeah, a lot of construction, concrete, really, you know, do-it-yourselfers.
Yes.
We say that. Guys that own businesses tend to gravitate toward this. And then, of course, we got the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
Jim Whiteley, J&A Service. Cannot say enough about Jim, his team, his entire family. They have supported what we do at Drag Illustrated and with the World Series of Pro Mod, and now into the 3-race Winter Series. They've supported it from day one, and they're our title sponsor for the series. Again, excited to have him out here with this car. He wasn't able to make it to Snowbird, so this is the first event that he's attended for the Winter Series, and we can't thank him enough for his support, and look forward to seeing what he's able to do this weekend. Yeah,
so Jim Whiteley in the oil and gas industry. Keith Goolsby on the other side, he makes his living selling Champion automotive lifts. He's like the nation's largest auto lift seller.
Right.
It's, you know, the nature and breadth of the business ventures that these guys find themselves in is pretty awesome. Goolsby's car to me is beautiful, not just because it's the shape of it, but the kind of pearlescent color of the rally stripes over the top of this thing. It's not just a standard cruising model red. It really is beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, a lot of these cars are so detailed. These Pro Mod guys, probably more so than any other professional class, they want their cars to look like show cars, and they take a lot of pride in them.
Jim Whiteley, of course, has been a world champion in the top alcohol dragster ranks, competes regularly still in an alcohol funny car, and the Pro Mod venture has been something he's involved in probably the better part of 10 years now.
Yeah, you know, he really is involved in a lot of facets of the sport, like you said, and supports a lot of them. And to have him back in Pro Mod here is a big thing for us. So let's see what he can do.
Now we're talking. Both cars stuck to the drag strip. How about you? 370 at 202 miles an hour puts Goolsby barely into the field. And on the other side, though, we look at Jim Whiteley. Goes to the number 20 spot, 365 at 208. The numbers down low start to tell us a story. We look at these 60-foot times. The runs we've seen so far early in this session that have been successful have landed in that 930 zone. We've not seen anybody push into the 20s and not shake the tires. So we start to see these windows form of where you can get the car down the racetrack.
Yeah, with the horsepower that's available out there today, I think you're going to see guys try to shoot for that. It's crazy to say a 940 60 foot.
Yeah,
is a softer hit than is what we would call a less aggressive 60 foot. Because I mean, sub 1 second was what we used to look for.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, right.
You know, 10 years, 15 years ago, sub 1 second was getting it done. These guys are now, you know, way under that. But yeah, I think easy off the line, take advantage of that horsepower out the back. He ran 208 on that pass, and you could see that there.
You and I were probably in the same place at the same time and didn't know each other back when Al Billis, during a test session at VMP, ran 611 back in the day, which was the world record run at the time. And a 611 now, you know, come on. 611 now it's a top sportsman car on a bad day. You know, it's crazy. One of the great stories of the history of the World Series of Pro Mod is sitting next to the car you see on your screen right now. That is Zach Sackman's beautiful Batman-themed Camaro. But across the racetrack is the Jack and the green stock Chevrolet Camaro of Spencer Hyde. Came from the number 32 qualifying position a couple of years ago to claim victory at the World Series race.
Yeah, he's just carried that momentum ever since then. We've seen Spencer's star really rise in drag racing, and now he's headed over to your neck of the woods.
Nitro Funny Car Racer with Jim Head, man, and you know he had his first ever competition running a top fuel car. I remember that thing. It blew up like Mount Vesuvius.
The most replayed top fuel pass of all time. We told him, man, you really got your money's worth out of that one race deal.
Hey, man, how about Zach Sackman? This is the Sackman family standout racers in the top dragster ranks, whether it's PDR or ADRA. And that Pro Charge Batman Camaro is going in deep, 362 at 205 miles an hour. 11th spot for Sackman. This is exactly what we wanted to see today.
And as we just said, we'll see some guys maybe take it easy on the 60-foot, a 904.60 out of the Sackman car.
Nasty.
And it's cool. I mean, we got Antron Brown up there, Brian Karate. It's so cool to see these guys over here. You know, playing in our playground over here in Pro Mod and enjoying it. Look at the fun these guys are having.
And, you know, Karate owns that car. And eventually, Brian told me a few weeks ago on the NHRA podcast, he said, hey, listen, I am going to drive that thing. And he said, and I'm not going to tell anybody when I'm going to do it or where I'm doing it because I don't want to make a fool out of myself. He goes, but I do plan on driving the car. But, man, Sackman is doing a heck of a job behind a wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole Sackman family, just a great group of people, great drivers, great tuner.
So you see Robert Abbott trying to change lanes. Yeah.
He's going to check out that left lane for a minute.
So on the right is Scott Wildgus on your screen right now. Wildgus, of course, the racer out of Ontario, Canada, driving Jay Santos' car. As I understand, Jay is relaxing in the Philippines this week. I was going to do that, but then you guys called, and I said, okay, I'll skip the Philippines trip.
Philippines, DI Winter Series. I could see where that'd be a tough
I knew
call.
where I needed to be.
It's great to have Scott Wildgus back out here, by the way, and driving for Jay Santos. And we just talked about Spencer Hyde. The Canadian invasion of Pro Mod is real.
It is very real. Very talented driver in Wildgus, the Jerry Pickle chassis car. And, you know, Robert Abbott's car. Robert Abbott is an orange grower down here in Florida. Local racer. I know you remember it. I remember it. His stock wheelbase 69 Camaro that he ran with the screw-blown Hemi in it for years. Wildly unpredictable, but a fun car. He bought this particular car on the left side of your screen from Todd Tutterow. It won the Gator Nationals a few years ago. It's the best piece he's ever had.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool to see the evolution of his program.
Yes.
He's a local here to BMP that, you know, when we started putting on these events and this started growing, his program has grown along with it, and we're happy to have him here. We've got guys from, like we said, Canada, all over the world. We've got guys from 5 minutes down the road.
It is fantastic, as you can see his crew guy taking a, that's actually Ty Tutterow taking a peek in there. Ty and Wild Motorsports working on the tune of this car, as they have for years. That crisp exhaust note of a screw-blown Hemi. I mean, I love the sound of a nitrous car at idle and stuff, but man, when it sounds like bacon cooking sometimes, it's like, yes, that is the good stuff.
Crispy is the word of the weekend.
Yeah.
Everything is crispy this weekend.
That's a fact. Even the dollar bills that will be flowing tomorrow night, also very crisp.
Yes.
And again, those of you maybe just tuning in this morning for your first time this weekend, today will be a qualifying day only. Tomorrow for the Pro Mods will be first round of eliminations. Wow! Wildgus rides the bars out to 330 feet at 373 at 206 miles an hour. Abbott's car had an issue early. He clicked it off as he made a move to the center of the racetrack. But for Scott Wildgus, he wins style points, just not a qualifying spot.
Yeah, that power really kicked in there, half track, wheels up. I don't know what's going on with Abbott's car. It almost kind of followed the same path that it did on the burnout, headed towards the center line there, but those guys will get that thing worked out.
Let's talk a little bit about the evolution of the driveline in these cars. For those that don't know, there are actually a few clutch cars out here, which is pretty cool to see, but virtually the entire field is using torque converters, and that technology has changed this class.
Yeah, it's really crazy to see how the evolution of the torque converter technology that these cars have, I think that allows these cars to compete in this type of environment and this type of weather where, like we talked about 10 to 15 years ago, those days we were talking about when we first met, the IHRA days, carburetors, clutches, Linkos, manually shifted. Those were tough days. When you came out in air like this, a track that was as tight as this track is, you make sure you're clamped down hard. You got a mouth guard or something, because, you know, the odds of just blowing the tires off these things were very high. Now, with the torque converter, with the traction technology, shocks, tires, just the whole deal, these guys are able to navigate these what we would formerly call extremely tough conditions. Now these guys just lick their chops at this air that we've got, the density, altitude, and see how much they can throw at it.
This is Cole Pez. You're watching on the screen right now this beautiful Mustang. He is from Weatherford, Texas. Behind the car, Brandon Pez, PJS Racing, one of the most renowned engine builders in this category and across drag racing. In front of the car is his mom, Kimmy Lynn Pez, who is the sister of former Top Fuel driver. So her Troy Buck is her brother, who drove Top Fuel for Bill Mitchell for years. So a family fully ensconced in drag racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing about this Cole Pez car, this is his No Prep Kings car. And he actually came to the Snowbirds with a full-blown Pro Mod. But I think after seeing what Kai Kelly was able to do, and these guys do get a weight break for the steel roof and quarters, he decided to bring out his No Prep Kings car and see what he could do. So we'll see. He had a major explosion yesterday. Again, crispy is the word. So we'll see what he can do today.
And Tom Blinko in that beautiful C7 style Corvette drenched in red paint. Blinko's car, way too much wheel speed. Cole's going to make a pull. It sounded like he didn't want to shift, though. He goes through at 4 flat 180, but, man, it did not want to change gears.
Yeah, it looked okay down low, but then you could see there 330, then a 4 flat. By the time he came across the 8th mile at only 180.
We talk about the evolution of this race and performance. We go back, digging through my paperwork here, the 2019 #1 qualifier at 363. Then we go to 2020 at 362. Then 21 we go to 59. And it bounces around. And, the 2022 race was an interesting one here. I know you were here, but we rolled in Sunday morning, and it was very, very cold, like we've been dealing with. And the decision was made. It's like, hey, this is not going to be good enough for us to do anything with. And I actually think we probably have been racing in maybe even cooler conditions this weekend, but the cars and the teams have evolved themselves to the point that they can deal with it.
That's right. And I think something that you'll notice on those numbers as well, we have a different rule package.
Oh, of course. It floats and moves.
Yeah, so our Winter Series package is a little heavier on all these boosted combinations than what was typically run here for the Snowbirds and the U.S. Street Nationals. That's just to level out the playing field.
Makes sense.
With the nitrous cars to try to create a little bit more parity. So those numbers are not exactly apples to apples, but I think as time goes on, and again, with the evolution and the adaptation that these teams have made to these rules, you're not going to see it move that much. Even with the added weight on these cars, they're still running right with those bump spots.
Makes total sense. Man, one of the neatest cars in the field, and certainly a long shot to qualify, but an emotional favorite. That 1967 Chevelle going to roll up to the starting line. That is Adrian Herrera's car. It is so unique and so cool. I don't think it necessarily has the raw power to make it what he needs to run in the 60s to get here, but, man, it is fantastic as Stan Shelton rolls in next to it. I mean, look at that thing.
Yeah, and this kind of I don't know the full backstory. I know that he came to West and was like, man, I want to run in the series. We saw his car, beautiful machine, but it harkens back to the early days of Pro Mod.
Yes.
And again, we love to see the nostalgia bodies, different body styles. We do give a weight break for the nostalgia bodies in the 8th mile, which is a little bit unique. I know that in the quarter mile that the NHRA Pro Mod does give a weight break for certain nostalgia bodies. But just to have some variety, yourself, myself, Wes, we're all just Pro Mod diehards from day one. And while we love 69 Camaros and 2020 Camaros, we do want to see a variety. And again, Stan Shelton's 67 Mustang, beautiful ride, and just an awesome family, awesome team that have supported not only our deal from day one, but they're big supporters over there on the NHRA Pro Mod side as well. Big, obviously, tractor pull family. These guys, I don't know how they find the time to do all the racing that this family does.
And that lumber company is not just like a small building where they sell 2x4s. They cut 100 million board feet of wood a year. They have an insurance company they operate as well. So, yeah, this is a full-throttle family. And let's not sleep on the fact that Stan Shelton is, to me, quietly one of the best starting line people we have among the 69 entries at this race. This is a guy that I would put in the upper 10% of being able to hit the tree.
Yeah, and what's odd is Stan has had what I would just call bad luck at our events. I believe one at World Series Pro Mod last year, he couldn't get the car staged, got timed out. He's had some weird issues, so we'll see what he can do tomorrow.
Wow, that's looking pretty good. He carries the nose 330 feet. Yahtzee, 365.6, 208 miles an hour. That's good enough for 23rd. And like I was talking to Don and Courtney about, to me, strategically, this is the smart move. You run that 65, you realize, listen, it may get knocked out by the end of the session, but now we can lean on a 65. If we come up here trying to run a 58 and blow the tires off, we got nothing coming into Q3.
That's right. And I don't have it in front of me, but it's, as far as an improvement from yesterday, if they didn't make it down the track or, need to gather data for their team car, yeah, like you said, chip away at it today and see what you can do tonight.
Yeah, and the reality is, I mean, just these good burnouts complete here. The rough math almost shakes out to the first 16 pairs of cars are unqualified coming into this session, give or take, right? And so when we look at an Alex Laughlin and Erica Enders, we can assume that they are not in the field. I know Erica shook the tires pretty hard yesterday as she backs up the Elite Motorsports Pro Charge Chevrolet Camaro. Alex Laughlin, if nothing else, has the tallest injector hat probably in the 4 or 5 state radius.
He's determined.
We're children of the 80s. We watched the Snorks growing up. Yeah. We watched the cartoon, the Underwater Society. That's where that thing came from.
He's determined to have the biggest injector hat.
Right.
He's
a Texas guy, so it makes sense. But
he and Stevie are usually in the running for that. I don't know if they're compensating for anything or what, but this one.
Well, wouldn't that be Haney if we're going to talk about compensation? Right, if we're going to go down that road.
But how cool is it to have Alex Laughlin and Erica Enders lined up? Alex Laughlin in a screw-blown combination, Erica Enders in a Pro Charged combination competing at this event in Pro Mod.
Two people that come to this matchup with very different memories. At the 2019 U.S. Nationals, this was the final round in Pro Stock. Erica left on Alex Laughlin by an hour. He was 120 on the tree. She was like 008. She puts the thing in the third gear and the transmission fails to engage. He drove around her, wins the U.S. Nationals. So she's got a little grit in her teeth right now just to want to put one on him on the starting line, even at qualifying.
And I guarantee you that is exactly what Erica's thinking about right now.
I know it.
And I've heard her talk about that moment many times. That still eats away at her.
Yeah.
So she's going to do everything she can to leave him on the starting line right now and make a great pass.
Now we're talking. Both of them going to make a full pull here. Erica goes 361 with a 3 at 207 miles an hour. That moves her into the top 10 of the field. Beautiful run. Laughlin a 378 in improvement, but still outside the field.
Yeah, that was a great run for Erica's car. I mean, I don't know that it moved an inch left to right the entire pass. That car, when it goes down the track, it is just on a rope. And that's actually the car that Lyle Barnett drove to the Snowbirds victory in 2023. Just rewrapped for Scott Tidwell there for their partnership with Elite. So that car has a lot of history here and runs well. It was on the very verge of shaking the tires, but like you said, Mike, it was totally composed left to right. So a beautiful job there. You can see a little smoke trailing off a Laughlin's car here on our replay. But yeah, Erica's car was on the ragged edge. That was awesome. And that's a gutsy call to me. That's the two strategic moves you can make is either get down clean and then try to build on it, or try to put the hammers to it, and they did. Yeah, the Tidwell team, we talked about Ken Q, and then now they've got Erica. Two different combinations, but they both run strong. They both ran strong at Snowbirds. So they've got this track figured out, that team over there, Chris Terry, and the whole team over at Scott Tidwell Racing that tunes these cars. So the man who lived on the bump spot of the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals, first race of the Winter Series, you were just looking at his Mustang. That is Bob Glenn. It ran 364 one race ago. We know, in theory, it could do that again, and he's going to need all of that to make this actually work out for him. On the other side, it is the Outlaw Corvette. That is driven by Pierre Chagone from Canada. I was just going to wait till you said the name. Outside of Quebec, yes. Yeah, Bob Glenn is I believe, the only roots-blown combination in the field. And he ran really well at Snowbirds. I think he ran a 62, something like that. But we did actually take we got two. Do we have two roots blown combinations here side by side? They're running that Janus injector, so I'm guessing it is, yeah. Yeah. So we did take 15 pounds off the roots blown combination between Snowbirds and this event, just trying to make that combination a little bit more competitive if we can. So we'll see. We'll see if more guys show up with those. I know the Salemi crew dabbles with the roots blower combination as well. You have to. If you're from the Buffalo, New York area, you have to run a roots blower. Yeah, it's just like it is in the legal paperwork. That's right. Or the Janus family will knock on your door and ask you what's the problem here. Beautiful car here. Custom paint, got the flames. Some kind of crazy looking demon outlaw on the side here.
Montreal's got a couple of drag strips up there. You got Pont Rouge, you got Napierville outside of Quebec, and Senair Super Speedway. Problems early for Chacon. Meanwhile, down the left-hand side, a 363.4, a 205 for Glenn. So he's right in that performance window from the last race.
Yes, great pass. 913 down low, 243 to the 330, 363, 205. Another guy, he lives just a few minutes from here. Eager to participate in our events. And again, we try to do what we can to have that root spawn combination right there in the field.
And here's what the real measure is going to be from this point of the session forward. He runs a 363, it puts him 18th. How far that gets kicked down the stairs is what's going to be the real story here, because now as we work our way in deeper, these are already the guys that have run in the mid 360 range. So that 63, as nicely planted as it is in the center of the field now, ain't staying there long.
Yeah, that's going to be 32 if you're lucky.
Exactly. But huge props to Wade Rich and his crew for the way they maintain this racetrack and working on and adjusting their prep to the conditions we've had. It's certainly the rebuild job they did yesterday. Camilio Velez on the left side and Louis Ouimet, another of our Canadian racers, on the right.
Yeah, the Canadian invasion. I think they brought some of the Canadian weather down here with them.
That was the problem.
They can take that part back.
So many of them, the trucking convoy just pulled the cold south.
Yep.
So Ouimet's a little bit of a sleeper in this field. Obviously a beautiful car, that C7 Corvette, and what can only be described as safety orange. This is what this is what they make vests out of. The guys pick trash on the side of the highway. That's the color, so you don't run them over.
Yeah, that thing is bright in this beautiful Florida sun we have here today. And then I believe we've got the former Mick Snyder machine over here in the left lane. Yeah, this car's been around a while. Actually, I believe this car competed back in the ADRL Pro Extreme days.
Dang, so it's light.
Yeah, in the late 2000s. Mick had it for several years, competed it there locally, probably in the Texas area, and then I believe he recently sold it to these guys.
So Velez is going to move his way up as Louis Ouimet pulls his car into low gear. Going to make that same move. Great shot. Jarrett, the ace boom man over there, running our boom camera. Great guy and certainly a huge talent as he fades his way back. And the C7 Corvette body style, certainly popular.
They've got a new one on the way. Synergy Composites.
Really?
He's got a brand new C7.
Awesome.
I think that Justin Swanstrom has teased a little bit.
Okay.
He may have one.
The Andy McCoy C3 Corvette body needs more love. I personally think that's a cool looking car. We need to see more of them.
Yeah, there's not too many of those.
Velez is looking great. Ouimet's on the inside of the groove. It looked like it actually had a cylinder drop late in the run. 367, 198 for Velez. Goes down the racetrack, places him barely inside the field at 29th, but his best run of the weekend so far. For Ouimet, a little bit more aggressive down low, but it didn't translate. Again, I'm pretty sure on the left side of the motor there was a cylinder misfiring.
Yeah, I think so. And I was looking closely there on the left lane. I thought I saw something right at the lights, and I thought maybe the ejector hat was sitting a little askew, but maybe not.
Next pair fired up and moving ahead. Chip King and Steve King side by side. No relation.
Yeah, these two, if you've met these two guys, you would know there's no relation.
I don't know if you saw the photo. One of the many photographers along the wall captured a moment in time yesterday where Steve King's car had all four wheels off the ground. Wow. The car was levitating about 1.5 inches off the racetrack.
Yeah, these two guys, Steve King out of the Maryland area, very outspoken. Just if you catch some of his social media posts and some of his videos, man, this guy is a trip. And you got Chip King, North Carolina, Southern boy, hometown guy here from North Carolina, same area near where I'm from. Quiet as the day is long. You're not going to hear much out of him. So two distinct personalities on these two guys.
And Chip King, of course, the Mopar guy. He's always run variations on a Superbird. This, of course, is 70 Charger. Has that really nice kind of nip and tuck front end on it. Very smooth looking car. Chip, a former NMCA Series champion in the Pro Mod ranks. And to me, that's another great part about this race. We can go through a list of 69 cars and pull a dozen champions from all these variety of Pro Mod sanctioning bodies around the country.
Yeah. Chip's run well recently. He ran well with us earlier, and then to end the NHRA Pro Mod season, I think he had a #1 qualifier under his belt. So really cool to see that car, that body, really running well.
Joe O's down there, so it appears Joe O, out of the hyperactive performance business in Chicago, maybe working with Chip on the tune of this thing.
I think the starter was giving us the signal there.
Oh yeah,
that he's going to be on a single.
Yeah, King's actually rolling backward. The car appears to have lost fire. And Chip's up by the center line. He's going to drive it through. 377, 197. And shows how good the prep is. He was out with it. The buses don't run.
Wall to wall.
So now let's take a moment. We're going to jump down to the top end of the racetrack. Don O'Neill is with Eric Anders.
Well, Erica, yesterday it was a Pro Charger and a bunch of broken parts, but today we went 61. That's got to be a nice relief to you and your team.
Yeah, big time. When I let go and it kind of hiked the front end up, I drove it around a little bit, so I definitely think there's more in it. We probably went up there a little bit conservative, but I caught the scoreboard as I went by and saw the 61 and heard the excitement in the guys' voices. But again, huge thank you to Scott Tidwell and Richard Freeman for letting me wheel this whip, and we're having some fun this weekend. It's definitely a little bit more fun from being inside the show. We got one more session this afternoon and first round tomorrow, so we'll see if we can go get them.
It's been a long time since you've actually left the racetrack after a day of qualifying and not been qualified, regardless of what door car you're driving. What was the feel for you last night going back to the hotel with the team?
I was a little bummed that they pulled the plug, but totally understanding and super appreciative of them being proactive instead of reactive. So, you know, it was definitely hard to leave here and know that we were, I think, 60th out of 69 cars, but input shaft failure and just one of those deals that happens, and Scott's got a ton of spare parts in the trailer, and Terry was confident this morning that we would get in this and go straight down Broadway, and we did just that. So now we'll get to pick away at it and maybe try to improve a little bit, but with the chip draw it just doesn't matter. We go to work tomorrow.
Folks, stay tuned and we're going to see how Erica and her team handle the little bit of adversity they've had this weekend at US Street.
And so Eric Anders in the field. A great crowd here. You can see a lot of the Canadians would call them toques. Some people down here call them toboggans. I just call them hats, but there's a lot of them on right now.
Yeah, a lot of these people probably had to dig these things way out of the back of the closet.
There's people knitting right now. They're being knitted at the gate. There's a couple of ladies over there with the knitting sticks
they
making
were
it.
Not ready for this. Yeah, everyone we run into in the restaurants and everything are like, oh, this is the coldest it's ever been down here, but we're on the good side of it now. Beautiful weather today and tomorrow.
We absolutely are. The next pair of cars on the racetrack will bring us to Andrew Handress and Blake Housley. Housley comes to us from the center of the country out there in Missouri. One of the operators of Flying H drag strip and also a heck of a chassis builder.
Yeah, Blake, it's been cool to see him grow up in the sport. His dad and my dad actually competed way back in the day at Top Sportsman. Terry Housley, the Housley family from Tennessee, great competitors back in the day, and then grew up around Blake as the ADRL took hold. Terry and my dad still competed back then, and then to see Blake kind of break out on his own, track manager, chassis builder, man of many talents, and wheeling a nitrous car, just as God intended. We got 2 nitrous cars back here.
And the Andrews family, of course, they have been nitrous injected for since the dawn of time, and Andrew's done a great job driving this car. They were one of the last cars, and this is the car on the left side of the screen we're talking about now, one of the last really competitive nitrous cars that ran carburetors. You know, they hung on to carburetors a lot longer than anybody else. It did make them work for a very long time.
Yeah, but eventually it just catches up. These guys that want to hang on to everything, I mean, God bless them, love carburetors and clutches, but just the writing is on the wall a lot of times. With how competitive this field is, if you're going to come out here and do anything, you kind of gotta. If you can't beat them, join them.
That's what you got to do. And really, that was how, in so many ways, when we talk about the torque converter revolution in this class, that was kind of how it went. It was a trickle that turned into a flood. It became something that was a bit of an anomaly, and then it turned into the thing that you really needed to have to compete at the highest level. We got to look now at our current qualifying standings, and this is a great update here. We can see Ken Curtuccio and Jason Scruggs, still the clubhouse leaders here. Mickey, Harvey, Kelly, Decker, Rudolph, and Stedding. These are all cars we've yet to see run right now because they ran so well yesterday. They're at the back of the pack. We now go through 9 through 16. Erica punching her way into the top half of the field with that 361. Lang Jackson, we saw Sackman's 362. We've not yet seen Tuttero, Decker, Lyle Barnett, or Cameron Hensley run this particular round. So that's the current up to the moment top half of the field. We move toward the back half of the field here with our unofficial to this time until we lock it into the final qualifying session. And that bump spot's going to be the thing we keep our eyes on all day long as we look now the back half of the field. Jericho Balder, Glenn, Sullivan, the 63 page, if you will. Antron Brown sitting in the number 21 spot. Rojas at a 364.22. This right here is the danger zone. This is, to me, where the danger zone starts. If you're sitting 63 to 65 right now, there is no safety.
Yeah, look at some of the speed over here, some of these guys. 208, 206, 208, and then Craig Sullivan, 199. So obviously not a representative pass for him.
The Mercury is an incredible car with the aerodynamics of a Bluebird school bus. That may be his speed issue here as we look at Shelton Frigo. Now these are cars we likely have seen. We saw Stan punch in. We've not seen Bannock. We saw Camilio run, Rivenbark, Deesh, and Davis. So right now, the bump spot is 368 with about half the field yet to run, and still a lot of cars we've not seen improve on their previous time.
Yeah, and if we could just see 33 through 69 there, the names that are on that, well, here we go. The names that are on this list are just mind-blowing. Sean Ellington debuting here in the new Pro Mod turbo car by Keith Haney.
How about Tim Dutton driving the famed gray Undertaker car?
Yeah, it's really cool to see those guys out here.
Mike Bowman all the way out from California. Robert Abbott, we saw him run earlier.
Ryan Hayward from, way north of Seattle, made the trip all the way down here, really making his debut with this new combination. To go 373, 206 right off the trailer. Impressive for those guys.
And so right now, a little track maintenance being done by our great crew here at the DI Winter Series in Bradenton Motorsports Park. A little hand spray, a little touch up as we get about halfway through the session. They'll stop and touch things up here. You see the static drag about ready to make a run or make a couple of trips up and down the racetrack. It is, this racetrack is pretty unique in the fact that the whole world, from about January through March, the whole world is paying attention to this place. Literally all eyes on BMP.
I think that's always been the case to some degree, but it is just amplified now between, the Snowbirds and US Street were great events before this, but then now taken to another level. You got the Pro Superstar Shootout rolling in a couple of weeks. World Series of Pro Mod wrapping up our series. And then I think everybody's like, all right, we're going to the rest of the country now because now it's too hot in Florida.
And let's talk about this for folks that may not know that are watching the broadcast. The idea that this is a series means that there will be a champion of the series, and with that championship comes a good check.
Yeah, 25 grand. Honestly, the coolest part about it is the championship ring that we're going to get for those champions and their crew. But man, it's all about bragging rights for these guys.
Oh, sure.
We've got these huge payouts: $50,000 to win the Snowbirds, $75,000 to win this event this weekend, and $150,000 to win the World Series of Pro Mod. But every one of those guys would trade that in just for that trophy.
Yes.
And to say that they won one of these events or won the entire series.
And I would argue to the end of time that it is an advantage for any racer that comes down and commits to these three races, even if you don't necessarily think you have the most competitive package, to be able to put yourself in a competitive series-style environment before you go run what will be a more protracted series over the course of the majority of the year. I want to roll into the first race a little bit battle-tested. I want to roll into the first race if I'm going to chase points at a PDRA, if I'm going to chase points at Midwest or the NHRA. I want to have my crew tested. I want to have myself tested. I want to understand a little tension because there's going to be a lot of people that have not felt that yet. I want that advantage.
And with the way Pro Mod is now, you almost have to approach it that way. Back in the day, like we talked about, testing, you maybe went testing one time before the season started, and you were conserving parts.
Yes.
The budgets weren't what they are now, and the durability of the parts weren't what they are now.
So we're going to come right back after this as the track gets prepped. We're going to pay a couple bills. You're watching the World Series on Pro.
It's all about feel. And this car, I love this car, but not when it hesitates. So I was looking for better performance. That's why I went with an Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor. No hesitation. The Edelbrock warranty. Great throttle response. Now when I punch it, it moves. Edelbrock, charge forward.
We drive performance. We drive passion. A background in drag racing. And a future in all forms of motorsports. Because success in one sport isn't enough. Pushing ourselves to be the best. Climbing every mountain. Topping every peak. Until you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
Unleash your engine with Adrenaline Racing Oils. 100% PAO-based oil, the Adrenaline R Series is designed to unlock extra horsepower. Free up your engine to perform its best. Top-performing oils with FR3 nanocarbon technology. The same friction reducer used by top racers. Designed for any engine. Lab-formulated, dyno-tested, track-proven. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back at the M&M U.S. Street Nationals here at Bradenton Motorsports Park in the midst of M&M Transmission. Outlaw Pro Mod presented by PGS Racing and Fuel Tech. Not only am I joined by Mike Carpenter, but we really went up the authority scale here. Victor Alvarez, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm excited to be up here watching. This is the best seat in the house. Don't tell everybody, but it's a hell of a race. I'm excited to be here.
We were just talking about something. I want your impression on it, and we just were talking about the fact that basically from January to March, drag racing is entirely focused on this particular facility. It's kind of a neat, it's an awesome thing, but also a little bit of a weight to carry on your shoulders.
Yeah, no, this is I call it BMP season, but this time of year, all drag racing is just focused right here, which is really cool. I feel like Bradenton is really like a big deal. It's a staple in this community, and we have such a community, like good community of people that love drag racing. So it's one of the few places in the world you get to do this. I went to Nürburgring this summer with my wife, and it's like that entire town is all focused on that track, and I feel like Bradenton is turning into that. Like the entire town is always talking about, oh, this car's coming or this race is coming, and I'm proud of that. I like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we stop in at restaurants, Starbucks this morning, running into guys, oh, you're going out to the track today? And they actually followed us from Starbucks out here and checking out a drag race for the first time. But you said off-season, but because of yourself and BMP, there is no off-season anymore.
There's no more off-season. It's BMP season from December to March or even November to March. We're nonstop,
Let's talk about, obviously, the great recent announcement. You, Cletus, you and Garrett, the official kind of 50-50 split of this place. It can't be overstated what that guy has accomplished, what he continues to accomplish, how he continues to engage people. So, man, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, no, so me and him have been great friends for years, and I've watched him do all of these things. Like, I was there in the beginning, and he's been just absolutely killing it. And he's helped us so much over the years. I mean, this was his home track. He's probably created more videos and content here than any other single place. And he's always loved this place and been extremely passionate about it, and anytime he could help, he did. And we just started throwing that idea around probably a year ago, and we started talking about it, and the more we talked about it, the more it made sense. And I felt like, why not? Like, if we could continue to grow this thing, because I didn't ever see it even getting as big as it is, right?
Sure.
So if we could take it even further than I ever dreamt, why wouldn't we? So I think it's a powerhouse. I think we're going to do really cool things, and I think this is just the beginning.
And like you mentioned, the local community, you guys have made such an impact on this community.
Yeah.
Cletus, yourself, and really, like, that's, again, when we were in the restaurant and someone mentioned this track, it's, man, those guys are fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
They mentioned you guys and what you're doing.
But, you know, and we have so much support. Like, when we went to the county and tried to put up a fight, that place was packed. Like, I mean, it looked like BMP for an event. It was packed. So you can't not acknowledge that, and honestly, that fuels us so much, and it's what makes us go and makes us do what we do, and it's cool. It's fun. It's exciting.
I want a prediction, because he's going to go run an ARCA car at Daytona this year. Does he finish, or is there an over-under on laps?
No, he'll finish.
He is a legit driver.
Yeah, so, like, what's funny is when he first started doing the YouTube stuff, people would always, like, crack jokes like, oh, he can't do this or he can't do that. That dude could drive anything, like, and drive it well. Like, I watched him get into drag racing and just immediately do very, very well with it. And he's driven stick shift cars, automatic cars. He's driven just about everything you could think of. He's driven a tank. He's taken a horse down the street. So he's a driver. He's a wheelman. He'll get it done. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he did very well.
What were the initial conversations with your therapist after Kai Kelly won the last race? What kind of emotional issues did you work through?
We got the hat up here, by the way. I just got the red hat.
I just took the hat off for the first time since then. No, I mean,
amazing,
honestly,
right? It was amazing.
It was nothing short of amazing, and it was like I was happy that he won, but I was shocked. Like, every time that he won a round, I was like, all right, he had his run, he had his fun, like, you know, but he's probably getting sent home by one of our Pro Mod guys next round. And it just never happened. And honestly, like, the fact that he just came out here and did that first round 360, like, it's proof that, like, this guy is legit. Him, they got Pierce over there, Billy Stockland I saw helping him out. These guys are not messing around. And
it wasn't a fluke.
No, it wasn't a fluke.
Not
like,
a fluke. I saw a lot of people
I had
say,
people
let's
asking,
see.
is he going to qualify again? He's here. I'm sure he's pretty good where he's at.
Well, tell us about your program. You've got a Pro Mod on the way.
Yep.
What are the plans for that?
So I'd like to just – I'm not sure what series I'll do, if I'll do any, like, series. But honestly, I enjoy getting to go to other races and meet new people. And I learn things when I go to other racetracks and just mixing it up with everyone. And honestly, like, to me, door car – as far as, like, door cars go, which I like door cars.
Yes.
Pro Mod is the top of the food chain. It's as good as it gets. I wanted to just – it's an honor to even, like, race these guys. And that sounds cheesy, but it really is. So to race against these guys and girls, and I have so much fun talking with them and hanging out with them and get to learn that side of the sport. Because, I mean, they make it look easy, but it's not. So I know it's a lot of work. I'm excited to get out there. Twin turbo car, so hopefully it can do as well as some of these others. I'm excited to get it done and see what I could do, but no major plans. Hopefully next year we could be in the involved in the Winter Series, and maybe if we're lucky we can debut the car at World Series of Pro Mod.
I'm interested in your perspective because, you know, the world that you're evolving, you know, you're keeping your feet in the import drag racing world, of course. So you're not banning anything, but you're making this transition to the Pro Mod. Have you found people more supportive than you would have expected? Are people like, oh man, it's awesome you're doing this, or are some people like, come on, bro, what are you doing?
No, honestly, I think that over the last couple of years, because I mean, I've been converted, right? Like, I thought that, like, pro imports and, like, imports was, like, the coolest thing in the world, and now you can't tell there's nothing you could do to convince me that there's something cooler than pro mods. And I think a lot of people have kind of felt that way, or I've converted some people, and I've even opened people's eyes to this. Like, I walk around and people that you would only normally see at FL2K or Streetcar Takeover, they're here and they're like, dude, this is sick. So we've had a ton of support, and I think that, again, I think we all look up to Pro Mod. Like, I think most people that race street race or, like, street cars or whatever the case, I think that the goal is, like, man, if one day I could race anything, it'd be Pro Mod. So I think people are excited to see it, and it's also cool to see, in my opinion, just a regular guy who raced Honda Civic, you know, race and a Toyota Supra racing Pro Mod.
The most important thing any of us could do in the sport is build bridges between all these things. It's the most important. It's the most important single thing we can do. And I guess we got to go back to work here.
Yeah, let's get it. I'm excited. Oh, 2 nitrous cars. I like that.
Yeah, beautiful pieces here. We talked about Andrew Handress on one side of the racetrack, and of course we mentioned the fact that on the opposite side of the racetrack is Blake Housley.
Blake Housley, this is the former John DeSerbo car.
Oh man, okay, cool.
Beautifully painted car here. You know, Blake's got a Willys too.
Oh, the Willys.
This man's fighting the good fight all around. He's got the nitrous car. He's got a Willys.
My understanding that Willys is about the lightest thing anybody's ever built, too.
Yeah, it is. But put this combination together here. Again, a late addition to this event for us, but we're happy to have him. We need as many of these nitrous cars as we can get. Vic.
And this car embodies like what a Pro Mod should be, in my opinion. Like nitrous, huge scoop, and an amazing paint job. Like this is like a real deal. This is like when I think Pro Mod, if I close my eyes at night and I think of a Pro Mod, I want to see that.
Yeah, the things that show sitting still.
The paint job is insane on that car.
You can see Handress on the right side of your screen, purging the nitrous, getting ready to make a run here. Neither of these cars are currently in the qualified order. We ran through some of the numbers. Those 57 numbers will give us, if nothing changes there, the quickest #1 qualifier in years at this race. Yeah. The bump spot's already fallen down into the high 60s, I believe, is what we saw at 68.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at number 16 last night, it was like 63. So we're going to have a fast field.
Anderson's car loaded up on fuel. You see the black smoke over there, a 378 at 196 miles an hour. It was rich.
I think it had a little issue there on the left side, but safe pass, 376, 196. They'll go back and chip away at it.
Yeah, they got something they can work with now, so they'll come back third round, and I'm sure they'll swing for the fence.
Vic, how have you seen these events evolve? But even before the DI Winter Series, even before World Series came here, these events were known worldwide and stood on their own. But now, as a 3-race series that we put together, what have you seen?
Man, honestly, the evolution of these events has been insane and amazing to watch. But honestly, it all comes down to the support. I think people always wanted to not have a downtime and race, and having a place to do it, they're excited to do so. But the support, the amount of racers and the amount of sponsors and people that have supported this has just made it blow up over the last couple of years. And now the Winter Series, that was just the icing on the cake. And that was always my dream. I wanted to always have a 3-race Pro Mod series. And I said that after my very first snowbirds. I was like, this needs to be 3 races, and this needs to be badass, big money, and everything that we wanted it to be. It is now that and then more.
This is Keith Haney backing his way up to the starting line in his Chevrolet Camaro. The Black Mamba, the branded Schweitzer tuned machine with its big Bang & Nitrous motor in it. On the other side, Jimmy Taylor in the Warbird Firebird. Man, this car has lived the lives of like 100 men. It has had all different engine combinations in it, bunch of different drivers, but it still persists today.
And that car has done some really cool stuff. It's an impressive car over the years.
Haney, of course, never lacking for let's call it enthusiasm before he got here. He did come up. He finished obviously yesterday. He and Lyle Barnett had a bit of a match race in the first round of qualifying. Lyle got the better of him there.
Yeah, I was actually standing over there, happened to be talking to Tommy Humans when Keith walked over to pay the man for the call out there for the grudge, and Keith slapped the $100 bills onto the ground, and of course the wind's blowing, and these things just start blowing everywhere. So I think Keith was giving to the community over there. There's some hundreds blowing around.
Like one of those things in a game show where you have to stand in a box and grab money. Yeah.
Yep.
He's got to be the only guy that doesn't actually have his name on the door.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah. Quick. Cleaning out the throttle over there is Taylor as he gets ready to stage this car up. Going to find your way into the 360s to enter the field, and if you don't get in now, you're going to have one last desperation shot later today. Haney trying to drive through a little early tire shake, a 368.9 on the verge of getting there, but no, same for Taylor, a 369 and change. They left with a big disparity, but the runs are almost mirror image.
Yeah, I don't know. Keith's car kind of picked the wheels up, set them back down. I don't know if he pedaled it right there. Just a real quick blip, but
but these guys are getting
past there.
Yeah, they're getting there. Like after those runs, they'll have some good data. They'll be able to come out here this last round and do something. And honestly, if you saw that final round of Snowbirds qualifying, that was probably the most intense round of qualifying I've ever seen and probably will ever see.
We'll see if we can top it tonight, man. We got another chance this evening.
If it could be topped, it would be tonight. But everyone's going to come out, especially that last qualifier is special. It always is.
It absolutely is, and the reality is the setup to that last round is happening in front of us now. When we see runs in the high 60s now, these guys know that they can touch it a little bit. They're going to have to pick up a couple of hundred. So, yeah, you're right. What's going to turn into is like that window keeps shrinking, and people that fight their way in have to sit there and just watch themselves get booted out.
We saw guys that they came up that last round, and they got in the field barely, and they were celebrating, and then another car would come up and knock them out. So it's going to be intense. And there's $5,000 up for grabs for number one qualifier.
Yep. How about this right here? Larry Larson.
The best.
Legend.
That's awesome. So this is Larry's No Prep Kings car. It has a Hartz charger on it.
Yep,
So Hartz turbochargers entering the centrifugal blower world. This is kind of the second attempt, if you will, for them. Larry's car with the X Insurance sponsorship on the side, and Jay Cox across the racetrack. Man, this is, when it's right, this car will run all the speed in the world.
Yeah. I mean, first time out, Snowbirds, it went, I think, a 362 at like 218 or something, and that was like probably a fourth pass on the car.
Yeah,
so
Jay,
don't count these guys out.
Jay still got the smile on his face from that pass.
Him and his dad. When I saw his dad after that run, he was really happy to be back because they took a little bit of a break. Last time we saw this car here, it had a big scoop and nitrous purge, and now it's here with two turbos. I never thought I'd see the day, but it's here.
Larry Larson's Nova is, according to him, the lightest car he's ever built. A lot of carbon fiber on that machine over there. That shoebox Nova, which is a let's call it a recreation of his OG Drag Week street car, using that same paint scheme and stuff. He wanted to go back to that look. Of course, the Cadillac that's being run with the diesel motor in it is a car that he built and ran on that series as well. But if he can get a hold of the racetrack, I have absolutely no doubt that this car will run numbers in the mid-to-low 60s.
And we just had Jimmy Taylor up here. Now we've got Larry Larson, obviously Murdered Nova, Kai Kelly. We're seeing an influx of these guys from these other
all it takes is one guy, right? All it takes is one guy.
Well, so that was like proof of concept, right? These guys are like, oh, well, absolutely we could go play with those guys, so why wouldn't we?
Well, it speaks to what you just said, that Pro Mod is the highest level of door car racing. These guys aspire to be here.
Yeah, there's not a person that races a door car that if you said, hey, you want to jump in a Pro Mod, would say no. That person doesn't exist.
All right, let's see what Larry's got in the tank. He made it off clean. Larson goes a 374 at 200 miles an hour on the nose. Lanes of 44th right now. Jay Cox, unfortunately for him, went 949 down low, and it all went bad after that.
949 is impressive for a turbo car. It was going to do something if it could have stayed glued down to the track.
Now Jay's got one shot to get in the field.
And we're talking about a car that could win this thing. Is going to have one more attempt to get in. So, I don't know. We might be setting the stage for an amazing final qualifier again.
It absolutely will be heartbreak for some and elation for a lot of others. So, Larry's going to be able to work off that 74, but he is going to have a pretty steep hill to climb to actually bust his way into the field. Jim Beedling and Chris Giuliano coming up right now. This is Jim in that flat blue blown Camaro. I just love the fact that Giuliano's hanging with Rare Morrison horsepower.
Yeah, this is a guy, again, reached out to us, wanted to be involved in this event. Of course, he's got a nitrous car, so we're like, yes, please bring that thing over here. But yeah, ran well at Snowbirds, and I think really opened some eyes.
Man, we're missing Jim Halsey. He had a wreck at the end of the PDRA season, but you know that car, I would say he's one of the better to do it with nitrous, and not to discredit anyone, but he in these conditions he's shown that these cars can run with the rest of them, and he was in the finals of World Series of Pro Mod, right? So and I believe not last year, but the year before he won US Street.
Yes.
Yeah. He didn't qualify Snowbirds, came back US Street and won.
Yeah, and the guy stacked up, 4 consecutive PDRA World Championships in Pro Nitrous. So, yeah, again, Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer.
What's going to be cool, too, at World Series of Pro Mod, we expect to have Halsey with his new car and Tommy Franklin with his new car.
Nice.
So two of the biggest hitters.
Two of the biggest
hitters in nitrous racing debuting new cars at World Series.
And honestly, too, I'm sure that once they get a couple more runs, Amber Denton will be right up there with him.
She was very impressive yesterday.
Yeah, very impressive.
If you saw that in-car camera of her pass yesterday,
she's great driver.
Someone we've seen grow up around the sport, just looked like a machine in there, like she's done it 100 times.
And obviously her crew knows exactly what to do to go fast, so she's something to keep an eye on.
Looking down from Beedling on the right side or left side of your screen, Giuliano on the right. Carrying the nose is Giuliano. Beedling goes a Well, I should say Giuliano goes to 367.7, a 372 for Beedling. So that 67 is going to put Giuliano nicely right now. Well, barely, I should say. Wow, 31st.
Again, but he's in. He's in going into the, as of now, into the last session. And I think that's about what he ran at Snowbirds and where he ended up in the field.
It is funny in this category now. There was a time when a good Pro Mod run didn't show you a lot of English with the front end, but really now with lockup converters and stuff, if you're not seeing the car pull the front end up at about 200 feet, you're going to think, maybe this thing's soft.
Well, talking about a lot of English, we should see some here with Scott Palmer.
Scott Palmer, ladies and gentlemen, this car outfitted with a Mark Mickey driveline. He wanted to thank Mark Mickey for everything he has done to get him back on the racetrack. And, of course, Scott Quisenberry backing his way up on the 41 Willys. You know, Scott ran his 55 Chevy down here for years, and then when he moved his combination into this particular chassis, his whole program changed. He could be competitive. But Scott Palmer's run last night is probably the best run he's made in that car in a couple of years.
He was thrilled. We actually stopped by his pits, which – again, be prepared, and that's kind of a questionable decision if you want to stop by Scott Palmer's
You're
pits
committing to something.
Yeah, late in the evening. Just, be ready.
No,
but
the sun's not out. I'm not going over there.
I actually ran into none other than Billy Stockland.
To see him back at the racetrack made my heart warm. Billy is one of my favorite people in the sport. He is an incredibly cerebral, smart guy.
And that's what the Winter Series has done.
Yeah.
We're seeing people that we have not seen in a while come out of the woodwork. We're seeing guys go out and buy cars just to compete here.
When a guy like Frank Manzo has nothing but good things to say about a guy like Billy Stockland, you know he's the real deal.
Yeah. Well, he's over here. Scott Palmer said he just kind of showed up. It's like a gift, like a late Christmas gift. Like, I'm here, buddy, and I'm going to get this thing lined out. Again, like you said, Scott made.
It would be really cool to see Scott shaking it up with the big boys on Sunday. It'd be very cool.
Yes.
Wes is over there pumping him up.
We need to get Wes in a car if we want to talk about some energy.
Where's the vet? Why didn't you bring the Corvette down here?
Yeah, we need the vet down here because that energy translates right into the driver's seat.
So Quisenberry hails from Ohio, of course, the Missourian and Palmer as he creeps his way ahead in the screw-blown Corvette.
Another amazing paint job too. I love the cool paint jobs.
And they're both going to make, Palmer had a lift outside the groove, 366.2, 202 miles an hour for Scott. That places him 28th. For Palmer, he is down the list right now, a 61st spot. But last night's run was clean, so they're going to have something to work off of. Won't be this data, but last night's. It just pushed to the right. It was actually making a pretty decent lick.
It was going
there.
good. Yeah, he just made the right call. He let out, live to fight another day.
So again, one of the things that you have to love about this race as well, that I tell a lot of people about having come down here for years, when we get into these big Pro Mod sessions, the cadence that they run at, it is run after run after run after run. That's what makes it so great.
Yeah, to run 70 Pro Mods in an hour and a half is amazing, and it's such a good show.
It does two things. It does multiple things, but the two biggest things it speaks to are, A, the organization of the racetrack, and B, the quality of equipment.
The quality of racers and equipment, yep, absolutely.
And we're only halfway through the field right now.
But, too, if you notice,
we're at about the halfway point.
People are only either entering the stands or glued to their seat. Like, that is it. Another nitrous car, too.
Yeah, DJ McCain, the McCain family, Dave Thomas Racing, these guys were right there at Snowbirds. They just had some bad luck, and by the time they came up for their final qualifier, it's like you're behind the 8 ball. You missed those first couple of runs. If they'd have had one more shot at it, I think they'd have been in the field at Snowbirds, and I look for them to.
And it was, for them, a relatively new car. They only had a couple of runs before they got here. So.
Well, and you mentioned this evolutionary process. Where do I want to end up? Where am I? Hey, look, their Bowser Datsun is one of the coolest small tire cars of all time, and that was their jumping off point, right?
Yep.
And, of course, Robin Roberts on this side of the racetrack, another of the cars running the Hearts Charger.
Yep, with the Firebird.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Firebird,
I like that theme.
A unique take on the 2020 5-star
beautiful
body
brand
here.
new RJ race car. That thing is gorgeous.
He did text us yesterday when we had the unfortunate 1 in a billion shot of the flying 10 into the power lines. He is in the generator business. He says, hey, I know a guy.
I never thought we would, but we're going to need some backup generator power soon.
Of all the things you never thought you'd ever see happen, a tent. I mean, it was
of all days for it to happen.
The money shot of all money shots into the power line.
Just capped off. It's one of those weeks with the weather.
Yeah.
But it was almost
testing.
like that was the last hurdle. Like that was the last thing. We
But
got on the other
honestly,
side of it. Look at this. It's beautiful. We got all these people here.
All the stuff that we went through this week, because we went through it together, the racers, the track crew, etc.
Robert's car moved to the inside. On the opposite side, a 377 at 201 miles an hour for TJ McCain.
Yeah, not quite there. They'll go back and chip away at it.
Yeah, but all that stuff that we went through this week just kind of set the stage. Like, it's going to make it that much more special when you make it in and when somebody's in the winner's circle on Sunday.
M&M Transmission Outlaw Pro Mod presented by Fuel Tech and PJS Racing. We are just in the middle center of this field right now, working through 69 entries on the property for these M&M Transmission U.S. Street Nationals Race 2 of the Drag Illustrated Winter Series.
Got Mike Bowman coming up. Mike Bowman was the original winner of the first World Series of Pro Mod.
2 turbo cars side by side. I like that.
Well,
2 turbo cars, 2 guys west of the Mississippi out here. Yeah.
And when this car was here for the Snowbirds, speaking of Mike Bowman, this was a Pro Charged car.
Yep.
He went back and completely revamped his combination, went back to the trusted twin turbos that he's been known for so long, did it all himself, drove, and then came all the way back to the East Coast from California.
I don't know who originally designed the paint scheme on his first car, but he's maintained that scheme on every car. And it's one of the few things, like you guys know this, you've been around long enough. Sometimes guys will hang with a look that's like, hey, maybe you want to do something. That car has looked awesome from day one until today in that same scheme.
Every
it's
time
iconic.
it comes in the water box, it looks good,
Yeah.
period. Yeah.
Ed Thornton, the turbocharged D-Bar-D Racing Camaro on the left-hand side of your screen, for those of you, of course, watching our FloRacing stream here of these U.S. Street Nationals.
We got Shane T tuning this car.
Unbeknownst to me, there is a tradition apparently between Tecklenburg and Scott Palmer called Evel Knievel Thursday, where they gulp wild turkey whiskey. And so
I think it's Evel Knievel Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Right. You can check it out again today if you want.
Right. Evel Knievel Day that ends in Y. Yeah. Beautiful shot of the nose of Mike Bowman's car as he inches his way ahead. Thornton's going nowhere. Bowman really pours the coals to it, goes through a 372, the speed of 215.44 miles an hour. Speaks to probably a less aggressive tune-up down low, and then all the power coming in late.
Yeah, but it just shows that once he gets that thing ironed out down low, it's going to fly.
Everyone says, that, hey, these turbo guys, they can just ease these things off the line and then throw the power to it, but just speak to that a little bit. I mean, you're going to jump in one of these turbo combinations. Is that the truth? Is that how these guys are running these things?
I don't believe that that's the case, and I think that the guys like Jay Cox is struggling. This car just struggled a little bit. Bowman is struggling a little bit. I think that it's almost a discredit to say that to the guys like Mark Mickey who come out here and put up a number every time. But Mark Mickey is constantly testing, constantly working on his car. Those guys just have a great program. It's not they make it look easy, but that's what the good guys do.
The great Scotty Cannon said in an interview years ago when he was just absolutely destroying people in the IHRA, winning all these championships. They said, do you think it's unfair? He said, listen, if you're going to play baseball and you swing a bat 1 day a week and I swing a bat 6 days a week, who's going to be the better hitter?
Yeah, exactly.
And that was what Scotty did, just relentless testing, and he sorted out his program.
Yeah, the greats, that's what
so
separates them.
Before he even brought his car out, before his first event, that guy was here, and not just here, just everywhere testing. And when he has an event, he's there a couple days early, and he makes his passes. I mean, they have a great crew and a great program. And I think saying that the turbo guy, they're just easing the car down there and running that number, it's just a discredit to them.
Everyone gets really nervous when we see these dyno numbers, 5,000 plus horsepower, but they're not able to use that power till later in the run.
Correct,
so
yeah. That's why you see the big difference in mile an hour when those guys go down the track. But not a big difference in ET.
A No Prep Kings champion. You know him as Murdered Over Sean. That is Sean Ellington over there in that powder blue Camaro owned by Keith Haney. And Joel Wensley Sr. out of the state of Michigan. He lives in Brooklyn, Michigan, and the Liberty's Gears Camaro now on the left side of your split screen here.
And how about Sean Murdenova just making it look like he's driven that car his whole life?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, guy's just a killer.
And I thought, to me personally, when he won his championship over there, I thought it was fantastic. The guy has always raced with his heart in his sleeve, has really been a great, to me, ambassador of the sport in so many levels, and for him to be a championship holder is a fantastic thing.
And for someone like him, with the popularity and success he's had, to say, I want to go run Pro Mod, and I want to prove myself over there, again, speaks to this series and what we're trying to do here.
Man, he's up by the center line. He had a lift. Meanwhile, Wensley goes 363.1 at 209 miles an hour. Man, Wensley was hanging out of that thing early. It looked like the wheelie control might have been working with the timing. They put a cylinder out, but man, Ellington's car was on a rip.
Yeah,
Unfortunately for him, it just drifted inside.
That 005 neck red means he was trying to get after that tree. So once they get that full package together, he's going to be able to deliver and do the driving part for sure.
Yeah, he pushed that thing right to the edge, but not over the edge.
Yeah.
So, again, just only a couple passes in for him and driving it like he's
We're going to get another look at this pass here from the top end of the racetrack. Left side of your screen. Now watch. Sean's car moves to the inside of the groove. Wensley, meanwhile, he is banging down through there. His car tended to move a little bit outside at the end of the run, but that 63, beautiful run for the Liberty's Gears machine.
And to prove what I just said, he drove that car perfectly.
Instincts.
As soon as it got to where it wasn't supposed to be, he lifted, and a lot of people don't.
That decision becomes exponentially harder the next time we see these cars come up on the racetrack. Yeah. That's when the idea of I think I can get it through there.
I might have to take a cone with me, but I'm trying.
The famed Undertaker Corvette of Tommy Gray backing up the racetrack. It is being driven by New Hampshire's own Tim Dutton. And Rhode Island's own Eric LaFerrier are going to be across the racetrack. I called these guys lined up yesterday. I said it was the battle of the chowderheads. A couple of New Englanders coming up here. And LaFerrier from Cumberland, Rhode Island, most well known for driving the White Rice 2JZ-powered Nissan out of Texas. But he finds himself in this pro-modified car. And for Tommy Gray and Tim Dutton in the Undertaker effort, that's a legendary name.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Another proof to what we've been talking about. These guys, they've been killing it in X275.
Yep.
The owner of that whole team, I've known him for years. He could race whatever he wants, and he wants to race Pro Mod. He's got two of those things, so that's where we all want to end up. If you're into door cars, this is it.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the Street Outlaws guys that are making their Pro Mod debut over here, but again, other forms of door car racing.
Yep.
These guys moving up to
Tim,
Pro Mod.
Both of these guys making the debut.
Yep.
And this is awesome. Another turbo car into the field or into the show. Hopefully, he can get into the field now. Awesome to see the turbos make a comeback. As a diehard import guy, obviously I like turbos, and seeing them make a comeback in Pro Mod is
Yeah, and the reality is this class is at its best when we get to see it all.
Yeah.
Like this class, the popularity of this class is at its peak when people know that they can see their power adder and they can see the body styles they like. And that's what will always keep this style of drag racing popular, and it keeps Mike up at night because he's the guy who's developed rules packages for it. But your hard work has benefited all of us, Michael. How about that? Man, that thing was way up. Wow, look at them riding the wheelie bars through the 330, 369 at 215 miles an hour. It sounded like the thing was keyed up pretty high on the RPM on the launch.
It sounded like the computer did a lot of work. So that's a Motec car with that Pro Drag package from the Pro Speed guys. And it sounded like it saved the run, but it was doing a lot of work.
Now, Dutton's actually going to finish this run. Car did not want to shift out there. It goes a 90 at 201 miles an hour. If you're at home going, well, why was he able to do that? The simple reason is it was staged. Nobody touched the car, and until somebody does that, you can complete the run.
Yeah, probably some issues going on there, both with the staging situation and then the car not shifting down the track.
And again, 369 with a 4 at 215, big mile an hour, but it goes to show it is not as easy as these guys think to get a turbo car down the track.
Vic's just up here politicking.
It's the
for
truth.
The turbos.
It's the truth.
He doesn't, you know.
These guys are hard on my turbo guys, so I gotta work on that a little.
Vic is the official turbo advocate.
He's like the Lorax for turbos. He doesn't speak for the trees. He speaks for the turbo. Couple of C7 Corvettes rolling their way into the water box right now. Bubba Green and David Monday.
You just mentioned Scotty Cannon, and of course this is the car tuned by Scotty Cannon.
Yes.
Bubba Green driving it there. It's really cool. It's just awesome to have these legends out here at this event.
David Monday, a very well-known and respected chassis builder, going to make his way back up in that beautiful candy apple red Corvette, making his way back. And for Bubba Green in this Corvette, they've run this car on radials and stuff too, if I'm not mistaken, Mike.
Yeah, I believe so. And they've actually got a new car on the way. I believe it's being finished up now. So another team, these guys, I think, kind of dipped their toe into the water, and then Scotty's got the itch, and we're going all in. Got a new car coming just to compete out here. I think these guys are building new cars, upgrading, because they see a future in this deal and want to be competitive.
It speaks volumes to what we're doing, that there's so many new cars being built and people looking. I mean, I remember after the Snowbirds, I went on my Facebook and it was like, where to buy Pro Mod, where to buy Pro Mod roller. People are trying to get into it. This is awesome.
Well, and the reality is, it's not just good for the race, it's good for an entire industry.
Correct, exactly, yeah. And that's how it has to be looked at. We're moving the needle for the entire industry, and when the industry is healthy, the sport is healthy, and vice versa.
So Scotty Cannon now making that last-minute adjustment, maybe to the barrel valve on that thing over there, and he taps the injector hat and sends it ahead. What was your favorite Scotty Cannon car growing up? I know it was your big rivals with your dad, but you had to have had one.
Can I say none of them? Because we were always seeing the back end of those things.
David Monday going to be second to stage. Pretty good side-by-side pull here all the way down to the stripe. A 72.2 at 200 miles an hour for Green. A 78.2 at only 174 for Monday. He was out of it early.
Yeah, I don't think that's the run either of those guys were looking for. So, but they got data. Hopefully didn't hurt anything and can come back up for the next round. And
I wonder how many of these guys might be underestimating the track surface.
Yeah,
and rightfully
100%.
so. We've had a rough week as far as like tons of rain and temperature has not been great.
Yeah.
Track temp hasn't been great, but the track is there. If you give it what it's looking for, you'll get down in there fast.
That is Robert Davis heating the tires on that 6th generation Camaro. And this is Dmitry Samorukov. Moscow, Russia, he calls home. The Russian drag racing conference is on the side of the race car. And Dmitry Samorukov was part of an incredible series of NHRA Pro Mod in 2024. 10 races, 10 winners. He made his first final round in Charlotte. The only downside of that situation was the guy near the lane was named Travis Harvey. And that was a dude of destiny that weekend. And Harvey came in there and effectively carved up the field like a Christmas ham. And Samorukov put up a good fight in the final. But one of the great moments of the season, he wins the semifinal, and they go up to talk to him, and he turns to the camera and he says, "My team is best." It was fantastic. The guy was so joyful.
yeah, you don't want to run into Travis Harvey.
No.
Great driver, great car, put that combination together. I was kind of having that same thought when we were talking to Erica Enders earlier. It's like, man, I really don't want to go up against Erica Enders with a car that's performing like hers this weekend.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I want to go up against all these guys and girls. I don't care if I get beat or whatever. I want to race.
You want a
best.
piece of the action.
Yeah, no. If I'm going to lose, I want to lose against people that I consider to be the best.
A heavyweight fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my motivation.
We'll see. We'll get a camera on whoever draws her in the chip draw tonight. And
Yeah, you're right.
See, we'll get their reaction on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Samorukov going to move that car ahead. Adam Flamholz, the crew chief on this machine. They had a fantastic season last year of great evolution in performance. And we'll see next to Dmitry what Robert Davis can lay down. Another set of full pulls coming at the finish line stripe. A 71.2 at 204 for Samorukov. A 367 at 204 and change for Davis. Davis's car seemed to have a pretty significant amount of blow-by going down the racetrack.
Yeah, it looked like it was ready to retire early in that run.
I think it's like you said, Vic. I think guys are underestimating the track.
Yeah.
I mean, these are solid runs, but I don't think it's what these guys have loaded in these cars.
But also, to be fair, it's probably one of those things where, like, all right, let's just get down this track and make sure that we have some data and we have a car left, you know?
I think if you're in a position that, and we're deep enough now into this order that there may be a little bit of feeling of safety in here, but I don't think that's misplaced. This could be more of a race day tune-up situation for some of these teams.
Yeah.
Now, my argument in that front would be we're going to start this program at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Not with Pro Mods, obviously, but the first round of Pro Mod is going to be running conditions that are going to be very spicy in a good way.
Yeah.
So I may want to be up here kind of probing the depths a little bit of what I can get away with, especially if I feel like where I'm already sitting is going to be in at the end of Q3.
Yeah, if I was comfortable in my spot, I would play that role. And you know, it's easy for us to be up here and talk about strategy. We don't know, right?
Oh, no.
But
you try to lay the cards up.
Yeah, everybody's got a strategy, and they're all hoping it works.
You were talking earlier about running all these combinations together, the rule set. And when we raced, hey, we wanted to run nitrous only. You talked about Scotty Cannon, which was your favorite car. I said none of them because he was so dominant with the blown combination. And that was always a tough thing, and it's always been there throughout Pro Mod. But we've seen it kind of ebb and flow.
Absolutely.
Where you separated the classes. ADRL was first to do that. Pro Nitrous, Pro Extreme. PDRA has kept that going. Some of the smaller series still do that. But I think on the biggest stage, you've got to throw. Yeah. Saying that now as someone that no longer is down there on the competitive side of it, I love to see all these combinations together. I wouldn't have said that 10 or 20 years ago, but now I think this is what you have to do on this big stage.
When I was 9, 10 years old, my favorite pay-per-view event I begged my parents for was the Royal Rumble. I wanted to see everybody in the ring at one time. Yeah. WrestleMania was great because you had the big heavyweight and the highlight acts. But that moment
was it.
That moment when Andre the Giant's chucking people out like when they weigh 25 pounds. I mean, that was what I wanted to see. I wanted to see every size, shape, and color of human being in the ring beating on each other, and that's exactly what the equivalent is here. Once again, a touch up here in the racetrack as we're about 2/3 through our field.
And we're getting to the fast side of the field, right?
Yeah, we've got about 10 or 11 pairs left, so we're getting down to these guys that are maybe we could say they're safely in at this point.
I think these guys are probably safely in.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see some of these matchups too. We got Ken Cortuccio and Jason Scruggs coming up, Travis Harvey, Mark Mickey, Kai Kelly, Kurt Setting. It's going to be good.
You had the operative words there coming up. So we are going to head to a break right now as the track gets touched up. We'll be right back with more from the M&M Transmission U.S. Street Nationals.
It's all about feel. And this car, I love this car, but not when it hesitates. So I was looking for better performance. That's why I went with an Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor. No hesitation. The Edelbrock warranty. Great throttle response. Now when I punch it, it moves. Edelbrock, charge forward.
We drive performance. We drive passion. A background in drag racing. And a future in all forms of motorsports. Because success in one sport isn't enough. Pushing ourselves to be the best. Climbing every mountain. Topping every peak. Until you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
Unleash your engine with Adrenaline Racing Oils. 100% PAO-based oil, the Adrenaline R Series is designed to unlock extra horsepower. Free up your engine to perform its best. Top performing oils with FR3 nanocarbon technology. The same friction reducer used by top racers. Designed for any engine. Lab formulated, dyno tested, track proven. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
And we are back on the racetrack here at Bradenton Motorsports Park. You can see the crew, as they have been so dutifully doing for the last several days, preparing our racetrack for what will be the heaviest home run hitters so far that have proven themselves. As we get into the back third of this field, it will be all the cars that have already punched their ticket, and this is where we are most likely to see somebody really maybe try to put one on the field and go even quicker than a 357.
I think so, man. We've got some exciting matchups coming up here. The one I'm looking at has got to be Antron Brown versus Stevie Jackson. Do you think there's some extra skin in the game?
I would hope so, honestly, knowing those two and how competitive they are. I bet there is, and honestly, I mean, these matchups are just getting better and better and better as it goes. Seeing Kai Kelly and Ken Cortuccio go out first round yesterday was also really cool. A little rematch of the final of the Snowbirds.
Yeah, well, we actually have, a championship point series going on, so we ordered or ran yesterday's qualifying order based on points, and that's where those guys ended up, so it was cool to see that.
And I want to see, I think my two favorite runs yesterday were Jason Scruggs and Ken Cortuccio. Scruggs rode the wheelie bars hard the whole way down there, so seeing them matched up is going to be great.
So burnout's being complete here on the racetrack. The next pair of cars heating the tires. Ryan Hayward, Sidney Frigo. Frigo sitting on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Hayward backing up on the right-hand side of your screen right now. For Sidney Frigo and Stevie Fast Jackson, a partnership now that has spanned a couple of seasons and has brought them ever-improving results. And Ryan Hayward's car, man, that thing is neat as a pin.
Former nitrous car, the guy that's converted over here to the Pro Charger. Talked to these guys. They are having the time of their life out here. So that's really cool to see. And I saw something interesting earlier in the week on the Shake and Bake show. They were making predictions for this weekend, and Stevie, he predicted that Sidney Frigo could win this event. He said Sidney was driving better than he's ever seen, and if Sidney drives the way he did at Snowbirds and that he's able to put a car underneath him, that we could see something out of these guys. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, team car and everything, but a bold prediction. And
well, and honestly, if you think about it, they have a couple of cars under the KTR umbrella here, so they're sharing data. They're getting good runs. We're giving them a good track. I definitely want to count them out.
Great look over at the injector hat here for the Artevinco Racing Chevrolet Camaro of Sidney Frigo. Frigo now going to be brought ahead. Little shot of the de-icer on the injector hat for Frigo, and it'll be time to pick up the final third of the field. Both drivers now locked in. Hayward wasn't sticking around, but Frigo's going to try to chase him down. Matching 364s, a 64 with a 1 at 208 for Hayward, a 364 with a 5 at 206. And really, that to me is the number where the end of this field is going to tail out. So if you can run a 64, great, but that's going to leave you in a pretty precarious situation coming in and potentially at the end of Q3.
There were a couple people that felt that way last race with a couple 364s. They had to go home.
Yeah.
Hayward crew going crazy down there. I think that's far and away a career best pass for those guys.
That's essentially a brand new car at this point.
It looks like it. Now Amber Denton, who we mentioned just a few minutes ago, and Isaias Rojas coming up right now. Denton rolling into the water box, going to heat the tires here. And her dad's former Jungle Rat Camaro.
And Rojas and Matos all the way from Puerto Rico.
Awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
And the MechTech, the MechTech name, that has been a part of the drag racing scene, certainly on the import side, for what, 20 years now plus?
Yep. And they've always done well. Every time you see MechTech on a car, you got to consider who you're going up against. They've always done very well. And they're here with something to prove. They were one of the guys that they thought they made the field, and then right at the end they got bumped out at the Snowbirds.
And how about Amber Denton in the Jungle Rat? Can you imagine? Okay, your dad is Tommy Franklin, multi-time Pro Nitrous World Champion, and you've been working your way up, 632, and then now you're going to jump into these shark-infested waters and make your debut at U.S. Street Nationals with this huge crowd, huge audience. That's a lot of pressure. She's handling it well.
I think she's built for this. I think she's going to show us.
And just, listening to the run yesterday, it did seem like it was a get comfortable style of run. It seemed like they were, the car was set up to probably shift itself at a lower RPM than normal. It still went at 369. So if there's a run to kind of just make sure we're all squared up here, I feel like that was it. And now I think they're going to let it eat a little more.
And really cool that this is the same car she ran PDRA 632 with.
Yeah.
It just has the bigger motor in it now. So she's probably super comfortable in there, and she's probably going to do very well.
Rojas went 364.8 yesterday. So a half a tenth quicker than we saw Amber go. We'll see how much they turn this thing up.
And I think that was the number he ran at Snowbirds where he got bumped. So I'm sure they're going to try to lower that a little bit now.
And they're both going to complete the runs. Amber's car hung the front end a little, goes to 66 with a 9 at 206 miles an hour. And Rojas lays up another 64 with a 7 this time, but Amber's car got that nice lightness, little air under the front tires at half track.
Yeah, it looked great. We're really seeing these guys dip down to these mid to low 60s.
So they picked 3 off the top, 300s off the top for Amber in that second run. They're going to have to pick at least 3, probably more than that in the third one. Let's watch this run again. What are you guys seeing? Let's watch it again.
Yeah, there.
That's
Lockup
awesome.
comes in.
Yeah, that thing came right up off the ground. She stayed with it like a pro.
And Rojas' Corvette was just locked out of the racetrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great run for those guys.
Yeah. Killer on the tree, too.
The L.Lee Installations Pontiac Firebird of Melanie Salemi completing her burnout. Melanie's dance partner here is supposed to be Matt Deesh, but we've not seen the car advance through the water yet.
I've heard him refire a couple times back here in the water, having some trouble. Hopefully they get it going. The only nitrous car to make the field for the Snowbirds. Again, we only had a couple of nitrous cars, but more of those guys.
He came out even first round, and he was on it. They ran really good at the Snowbirds.
Still looks
so
like
they're still looking
trouble.
back in the water box. We've not seen Deech's car advance. It may be a solo act here for Melanie Salemi.
Oh, I heard something.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
You see the alligator arms from Randy Lee and Wes Buck in the starting line.
Randy Lee and the guys telling him we got a nice short, quick burnout. Get up there and get this going.
Let's talk about Randy Lee and some of the staff we have up here on the starting line and throughout the facility. Guys that are experienced, have
Jamie,
done this.
Luke, Randy, all those guys.
Jamie, Luke, and Randy Lee might be 2 of the best starters to ever do it in door car stuff that I know. And that's a part of what we do. These events, we bring what we feel is the best people together to run them, and it just changes the whole experience. We've got the best announcers, the best tech guys, the best track prep guys, the best starters, you name it. We try to really deck it out, the whole place.
And you got to have someone that commands respect. You can't have all this money on the line, these high stakes, and then have someone. You got to have someone that knows what they're doing and that these guys respect, and that's what we've got.
And honestly, too, I like seeing. We have a couple good starters here at our normal events, and one of our guys, Joe, is up there. Joseph's up there, just helping them out and watching and learning. And honestly, he's going to be an amazing starter. He already is, and I can't wait to see the day that he's up there by himself.
It's the most basic thing, but as you well know, the communication among that starting line staff and your tower is going to dictate how an event flows. And this racetrack, people are talking, communicating at all times, especially Randy and Jamie down there. All right, Matt Deesh is ready to roll. So is Melanie Salemi. Melanie carries the front end out. She lands it, steers it straight. It goes a 363 with a 1 at 205, a 65.5 at 206 for Deesh. That was veteran experience. She hung with it and made a very slight adjustment upon landing.
Yeah. And she knew exactly where she was when she came down on the track. When those front wheels touched, she made a slight adjustment. That was beautiful driving, yeah.
I think both cars kind of worked toward each other there, toward the center line, stuck with it.
Kayla Zadell of Drag Illustrated is with Amber Denton at the top end of the racetrack.
I'm up here at the top end with Amber Denton. You just ran a 366. Some people show up to these races wanting to qualify for years, and you qualified in your first session, did well in the second one. Tell me how that feels.
It feels really good. You know, coming out here, we just wanted to stay consistent, and going 69 Q1 was a good little confidence boost, but we knew it wouldn't stick there and we needed to step it up coming into today. So running a 66 was a good feeling, and hopefully we can just keep picking at it and making good runs.
You also made your Pro Mod debut this weekend. What has that experience been like?
It's been amazing, honestly. Pro Mod's been my family for years, growing up around it with my dad. You know, it's where I love to be. I love watching the class. Being in it is so special for me. I've dreamed of this moment for years. So this weekend is a lot more than just a race for me. I'm so thankful for everyone behind me that's made this happen and just support me through it all. All the drivers have been tremendous and just showing the support and just confidence boosters for me. It really means a lot.
Well, you're looking great out there, so keep it up and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very humble and very motivated. Those are two things that if you can match those two attributes together, you're going to go places.
Really cool to see Kayla jumping in there behind the mic and interviewing Amber there.
She did great.
Yeah, man. A-team all around.
Kevin Rivenbark, the Culp Lumber Mustang. But really, whenever this other car's in a racetrack, you know where people are looking. Craig Sullivan comes up in that beautiful Mercury, the supercharged engine at roof level. We know that it can run. The speed on this thing is the only downside because at the end it has it has the frontal area of a school bus. There's an F-250 over there that's slightly more aerodynamic.
I was actually talking to Craig last week, and he was telling me they've had to reinforce the nose of this car in different ways and multiple times as he's had some incidences with the car.
The grill is real actual metal.
Yeah. That's where we're at this point, because it's, again, you just look at it there, it's pushing so much air, it's caving in the nose.
Yeah, it's a flat front end. I mean, yeah, it's not helping them. But I love to see the different cars, and I love this car is probably one of my favorite. I think it's a fan favorite across the board.
And the signature move on this thing, you know when it's a good run because it's going to spend the majority of the time on the back tires. Yeah. Every good pass this car has ever made has basically been on two wheels, including this one. Oh boy, it got a little loose on him down there, but it still goes a 363.5 at 208. Rivenbark a 368.
At only 183.
He stuck with it.
He did stick with it, and it was moving around a little.
And Rivenbark only 180-something miles an hour. That means that thing was going to be, that was on a run.
Am I seeing?
Yeah, it looks like the blower's moving around. It knocked the blower off the top of it.
It's not supposed to wiggle around like that.
No, it's not.
It's not a free-range blower.
If it would have stayed put, that might have been a run.
Great run for Craig Sullivan.
To shed that much mile an hour is definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
208 out of the Merc there for Craig Sullivan.
Yeah. And it looked like it was on a trip. It was all over.
Next pair is rolling up. We're going to get a look here at a replay as Billy Banica completes his burnout. Lyle Barnett the right side. Let's look at that last run down the drag strip. Pay very close attention. Left side of your screen. That is Craig Sullivan.
Move to the right a little here.
He drove that thing.
Yeah, we got stuff going on both lanes here.
And yeah, you saw Rivenbark's car pitch the blower off the top of the motor. Thankfully, the straps kept it attached to something.
That car, Craig Sullivan's coming down through there, just looks so freaking cool.
Looks like nothing else as Lyle Barnett backs his way up to the starting line. Barnett already a semi-successful weekend, claiming the cash that they had to chase around in the wind yesterday from Keith Haney.
He's already in the green.
If you know Lyle, the fact that he beat Keith Haney, that's enough for the weekend for him. He's happy. He's.
I think this weekend that might be a little different because these guys also didn't get to qualify at the Snowbirds, so they are here with something to prove.
Billy Banica's Camaro rolling ahead. Jerron Settles just redid the nose on this car. The fly-in airbrush. Very talented painter and artist. Got the car perfectly matched. Banica had a career season for himself on the NHRA side of things. Was basically a guy who was very consistent and banging out rounds. Had his best points finish. And Lyle Barnett is. It doesn't matter if you're at a supermarket. He's going to want to get to the end of the aisle first, and he will trip you if you're going to beat him. Racing in 3 categories this weekend is Lyle Barnett.
Yeah, Lyle likes to say to increase your odds of winning, just compete in as many classes as possible.
Hedging your bets. Banneker 66 yesterday. Barnett, that blistering 362.7. And Barnett's on a very strong pull again. He goes to 65 and a 66 again for Banneker. Speed of 206 and 204 respectively. That's what eliminations are going to look like. I mean, you saw a very tight run there. Banneker hit the tree for a 23 reaction time. That's what's going to have to happen all day tomorrow for the 5-rounder that we have in store. But a very nice tight side-by-side as we now go back to the top end of the racetrack. Courtney Enders has Melanie Salemi.
Got Melanie Salemi down here at the top end of the U.S. Street Nationals. Melanie, it's a very different vibe here. We are on day what should be like 47. You've been here since Monday, but you've got 2 qualifiers. You have made it down the racetrack, 62 and a 63. That says a lot compared to a lot of what's going on consistency.
Yeah, I'm really happy with what John and Evan had done here to the car. It did make a pretty good move to the center, but I was able to hold on to it and get it down through there. So I got to definitely thank everybody that's here helping us, John, Jim, Evan, Eddie, Katie, Mikey, my guys back at the shop, and Mike Stawicki for providing us with this awesome horsepower that we have. VP Racing, Liberty's Gears, Noonan, NGK, Hoosier, and CK's Produce. They're a big sponsor of ours, and they're from Florida, so we've actually got to spend some time with them here while we've been here. Clevite, Kylie's, Kinetic, Flat Out Gaskets, Ross Pistons, R&R Rods, Neil Chance, Quick Drive, Motorsports Unlimited, LAT. I think I've got
that. Is a true professional right there, on and off the track. Big strategy tonight. You've got one more hit, but you're pretty solidly in the field, so good luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you, and I hope the weather cooperates here so we can turn up the wick. I know we're capable of going a little bit quicker, and my guys are going to be on it for me for later today.
Good luck, somebody backing that up. Good luck.
Scott Taylor and Mike Decker Jr. get ready to take to the racetrack right now. It was Mike Decker the third. Did you see his sprint yesterday?
That was impressive.
That was a good sprint. Fully suited. I think he had his Hans on and everything.
Yeah.
He got down there. He got down through there. I would love to see the 60-foot time on that one.
He made it a legit 1,320-footer because he ran to the 8th mile and then he ran all the way back outside the wall. So that was a complete trip.
World Series of Foot Racing.
Yeah.
Is that next?
We could do something at World Series of Pro Mods.
Listen, that used to happen up at SGMP at Donald's races, and there were people that left with no skin left on their faces. People hit the deck left, right, and center on that action.
We should, instead of chip draw, we should foot race.
Tire shake for Taylor. Decker rides the bars out there. 360 with a 4, or 9 rather. 207 miles an hour for Mike Decker. So Decker puts himself right up near the top of the sheet as Taylor goes 375.6. Just about picture perfect there for Decker.
Setting the pace now. We're really chipping away at it here. We're going to get these guys low 60s, high 50s coming here in the next few pairs.
Yeah, this is, again, this part of the field is starting to live up to the hype.
Yeah. And Scott, you know, he drove through quite a bit of tire shake and probably stuck with it, you know, just to get some data, but it wasn't a bad run considering how bad the shake was. The ET wasn't that bad.
We're going to get a peek at a replay here. The first thing you're going to pay attention to is the right side of your screen. That's going to be where the tire shake happens. You can see that car shaking. Now watch the left side.
Scott did a hell of a job driving through that.
Yeah, to make a 75 out of what that was starting out to look like.
It was making a move, and he stuck with it.
To me, you know, we talk about the suspension tuning on these cars, and one, it's obviously getting the car off the starting line, transferring weight backward, and managing that and controlling it. But the fact you can land one of these things at full throttle and have it land pillow soft like that and maintain full control out of it's wild.
Again, technology, suspension technology that these guys just continue to evolve. There's Todd Tutterow calling the shots for his son.
Raymond Matos and Ty Tutterow coming up right now. Ty, of course, closest to us, the Quick Fuel sponsored Chevrolet Camaro. Raymond Matos' car was actually originally owned by Mike Salinas. It was a Mike Salinas car with the got a Scrapper's black and orange highlights there. Mike drove it only a handful of times before he sold it.
Yeah, I think he drove it here, right, Vic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that car that Ty Tutterow's in, man, that car, I think the first time I saw that car was last year at maybe Snowbirds or this race. And they came out swinging. That car went at 58, one of their first events.
Dang.
Yeah.
Alan Pittman built car.
Yeah.
It's got
Alan Pittman, man,
yeah,
yes.
It's got some unique touches to it.
Remember when he rolled the Gravedigger Willies out years ago when he built that Gravedigger Willies back in the day?
Yeah, man.
What are we looking at on our bump spot right now?
I think it's a 66.
Wow.
66.
Yep.
Already.
Yeah.
Only after not even 2 rounds. We're not done yet.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. Mato's going to make a full pull after the tire shaking beginning for Tutterow. He lifts a 370 at 203 miles an hour. Clean. Not as mean as they would have wanted.
005 on the tree, though. So if you do that in eliminations, you still got something you can work with.
M&M Transmission Outlaw Pro Mod presented by Fuel Tech and PJS Racing. As we are in the upper echelon of our second of 3 qualifying sessions. As Matt Deesh now is at the top end of the racetrack with Courtney Enders.
The energy is about to take a notch up down here at the top end. We've got Matty D. We just were saying off camera, if you didn't know him before, you know him now. The Snowbirds really did a wonder for your career. You've been here all along, but qualified really well, made one heck of a shot, came in and won a couple of rounds. What's that been like since then?
Well, since the Snowbirds, I mean, the momentum, like you said, has been carrying, and we just kept going with it. I mean, you put me in the spotlight, and you're going to get some entertainment. So, last pass, we did pretty good. Yesterday, we went a 67. Today, we try to step it up a little bit, but we're having a little bit of a problem keeping the nose on the ground. So I've been having to do some driving, which is whatever. But if we want to get to that 62, 61, 63 number that we've been running, we got to try to calm it down a little bit. But it's got it in it, and I got it in me, and let's fucking get it.
Matty D, ladies and gentlemen, good luck, buddy.
You might have to bleep that out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the gospel according to Matt Deesh.
Matt, man, has made a star turn. He did that same thing at Snowbirds. We really got to see that personality. I love it, dude. I ran into him in the airport and actually had lunch with him after Snowbirds and got to know him a little bit more and just love the energy out of that guy.
That's the energy that I want to see out of a driver when he gets out of his car.
When a guy talks about driving and whatever, we're going to coffee talk with Linda Richmond. Talk amongst yourselves.
Now here's the matchup we've been waiting for.
This is the big one of this round, just for who these two personalities are.
And honestly, close matchup.
Oh yeah,
they're separated by 100, so they're gonna show us a good show right here. Motion Raceworks Shadow.
See, if I'm Stevie, I'm not putting dough on this. What I'm saying is, all right, Antron, if I come out here and redden your behind, I want at least one lap in your car. I want at least one. I want at least one lick at a top fuel dragster.
Well, we know Stevie's got the fuel aspirations. He makes no bones about that.
Oh, Antron's stuck out there, it looks like.
And it looks like he's trying to restart the thing.
Hopefully he gets it going. What a cool car, too, by the way. And I don't think everybody understands the history of that car either.
Yeah, it's been literally around the world.
Yeah, literally.
And he is trying to fire it up again. You can see there he goes.
There we go. Come on. You know, as an import guy, I don't even know if it's that or it's just that it's a really nice car, but I get excited when I see that thing up there.
He put his black ice license plate on the thing. I don't know if you saw that. He installed the black ice plate. And again, he's trying to keep the car running.
Yeah, don't let it die on us. Come on.
Of course, Manny Bujinga owns the car. They all have names. This one happens to be Jerome.
Yeah, Antron's really letting his personality show with this car, having a great time.
Steve Petty's down there giving the cut sign, and they are going to give the cut sign. The motor is very ragged. It does not sound healthy, so they are going to not risk it here. And this car will be pushed off the start, and that is a tough break for Antron Brown. For Stevie Fast Jackson, it'll be a solo effort. He went at 362 yesterday. This is the type of moment where I expect a Stevie Fast to shine.
Yeah, he's comfortable in the field. Yeah. He's going to show us something, I would say.
We're not going to get this matchup we wanted to see, but we'll see what Stevie lays down here. And Antron went a 63 yesterday. Great pass for those guys. Oh, Stevie pointing out the camera there.
And the bottom line as well, when I see these guys race, I want to see them both race on fresh legs. I don't want to see one guy coming up here limping, right? I want to see both cars well.
And I mean, it's only Saturday and it's only Q2. Yeah. We might see them line up again. We don't know. Maybe it could be in the final round for all we know.
That would be epic.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be an all-timer.
Yeah. You might catch me with my hands on my hat again.
Little shake at the top of low gear. Even through the shake, he goes a 67.4 at 205. Mike, what's interesting to me is the car was actually clean early, but it actually shook just past the 60-foot block a little later than we normally see.
Yeah, you could hear it down there a little bit.
So that 67.4 at 205.
Good reaction time, 20 on the light. He's ready to roll. If elimination starts right now, Stevie's ready.
He was still envisioning Antron sitting over there.
Yeah. Knowing Stevie, he probably had a bet with Antron on the reaction time. And he's still going to get paid.
Let's watch. We're going to watch this run again, and Mike, let's pay attention to see exactly where this thing starts to check the tires here as we go into this replay.
Yeah, shake right there.
I'm always impressed, and these are the instincts that a guy like Stevie Fast has, and the instincts that through your drag racing career you've also developed, Victor, is that idea of the shake that you can power through and the shake that you need to shut the car off in.
And it's crazy to, I don't know if this is like, I should even say this, but it's crazy that it's like almost an instinct that you kind of just have it in you, and some drivers have it, some don't, because I've only made 2 runs in a pro mod, and I drove through shake on my second run, and they're like, how did you know to stay with it? I was like, you just know. Like, I felt it. It wasn't too bad. I powered through it and had to steer a little. But, man, when you get in the car, it's also different. You get in the car, you zone in on that track. You want to get to that other end. You stay in it as much as you can.
And making their way back to the starting line, the Coast Packing Company Chevrolet Camaro. This car is owned by Eric Gustafson out west, normally driven by Jason Lee. Jason's going through some health stuff right now, so Cameron Hensley is in the race car. And the ghetto sleigh, of course, of Jeff Rudolph.
Yep, the Coast Packing team, big supporters of what we do here with the Winter Series, and hope to have those guys back to full health soon. Made a great showing at the Snowbirds as well, and so did Jeff Rudolph.
Yeah, both of them. And I think that was Cameron's first time in the car at an event was the Snowbirds. And he actually drove this, and Gustafson drove the gray car with a screw blower on it. Not Gustafson, Jason Lee did. So they went from a 2-car team to a 1-car team, but they're still out here supporting. And honestly, they still have just as good of a shot of winning. This is a car that also garnered an NMCA championship several years ago, and really was one of the early adopter ProCharge cars. When we go back to when the ProCharger F3, F4 program really came into its own, this was one of the original cars that was packing that power. And this car used to run RVW as well, right? This was the first car, I think, to go 340s, or one of the first to go 340s. Yes, it was deep into that, whatever you want to call it, top class of the field.
And I believe this is one of the only ProCharger combinations to run a lockup torque converter as well.
Yep. They've got it figured out, so whatever they're doing, keep doing it.
And Hensley goes a 362.9 at 205 miles an hour. He went a 363 yesterday, so they picked away at it very nicely and moved themselves up just a 100th of a second. Now let's go to the top end of the racetrack. Don O'Neill is at the top end with Mike Decker Jr.
Mike Decker, so far you're the low of the round, win 60 with a 5. How's that going to measure up when the round's over?
It'd probably be 8th, maybe, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you didn't say that very confidently.
There's a lot of good competition here. You know that. So we'll see a lot of good cars behind me. We'll see what they run. But I'm happy with that, going in the right direction.
Folks, stick around. We're going to keep up with the Decker family as Todd Tuttero's over there trying to tune them into the 50s.
Listen, just the accents alone are worth the price of admission. We went from the New York guy, we go to the Mid-Atlantic Baltimore guy, we get the whole thing going on. It's like we're people separated by a common language.
Yeah, we're picking our top end interviews based on accents.
Also, is there like a wrestling a wrestling ring down there? Who is determining who gets what interview down there? Because we got reporters like there's fisticuffs happening down there.
Rotating cast, man.
Kenny Lang, man, we talk about legacy pro mod racers. Kenny Lang, that's his dad. Pops has been with Kenny his entire career. Former NHRA Series champion. Al Billis is tuning the car. It's like, let's list off like a reunion album with the greatest hits. You got Lang, his father, and you got Al Billis behind the thing.
Another car that runs really well at this track. Ran, I believe, to the semis at World Series of Pro Mod last year. And when we had that graphic up earlier, this car went 211 yesterday. Big speed for this combination.
Yeah, they came out swinging for sure.
Mike Decker III across the drag strip. The Decker salvage entry.
No foot race today.
None. I mentioned it over the PA yesterday, but these guys are always in a good mood. And if you run multiple wrecking yards in a building demolition company, and you're able to just take your frustrations out, either squishing sheet metal or knocking over buildings, you're going to be a pretty mentally stable person.
Yeah, this stuff out here is nothing compared to what they do on a daily basis.
Exactly. Two screw-charged Hemis side by side.
He's fired up.
He is fired up. Kenny Lang is ripping. Lang goes 365.9 at 208 miles an hour. Actually slows a couple of numbers from yesterday. Probably gave it up just a little down low, but still a nice solid run.
And that might be your the strategy you were mentioning earlier. They might
Race
be looking
day.
for their race day tune-up right there, and that would be a great one.
Very nice. Yeah, if you can, again, we talk about a 5-round race. So, yeah, you got to be able to build on that over the course of the day, adjust to conditions. But if you can come out firing that shot and you can hit the tree clean, I like your odds.
Yeah.
Another peak here coming of that previous run with Kenny Lang and Mike Decker III. Decker was out of early, must have been shaking a little bit. For Kenny Lang, another nice day at the office. Well, here is the man that upended the world of pro modified drag racing about a month ago. That is Kai Kelly on the racetrack, backing his Chevrolet Camaro, that beautiful third gen, the steel roof and quarters.
Headlights on right now.
Vic put his hat back on for this.
I wish he would pop those headlights on right now. That really just sets the vibe. When those headlights come on, I get shook.
Boom.
I don't know what's going to happen.
It's like the movie Christine when the car comes back to life. It's like something bad's about to happen.
If that
here.
was my car right now, as soon as I backed up and I was good, I'd turn the lights on.
It's just so cool to see that car, the attitude. You know, it sits a little higher with the rocker panels because it's not a true pro mod. It's not. It wasn't really ever designed to do what it's doing right now. Just an impressive deal. We've actually the next cover of Drag Illustrated magazine is going to feature this car on it.
I hope I'm
a really
on there
cool
in the
top-end
background
shot
with my hat.
And you know, as much as the story was the steel roof and quarters, as you all know, the real story here is that 104-inch wheelbase. The fact that, as you mentioned, the car suspension-wise, geometry-wise, is so much different. If you look at Kurt Stedding's car across the racetrack, it would almost be impossible if these two cars are in the same category of drag racing.
But thanks to the rules package, we're able to level the playing field here. And if you watch Kai's car, it seems to just instantly pick the wheels up and carries them. And Kai, we talked to Kai on the West Buck show a couple weeks ago and said, tell us like what's different about your car attitude-wise or the way it drives compared to these pro mods. He said, due to the wheelbase, the front wheels are never on the ground. Hey, I can't drive it.
For a car that the wheels are off the ground as much as it is, it goes straight down through there. Really nice. He came off the trailer with that 360. I think it was a 601. I was beyond impressed.
Let's see what he does here.
Stedding won a 61 yesterday. Kai is 60. Kai's going to make the trip again. Goes 359 with an 8.
Uh-oh.
69. Wow. Yeah, 59.8 at 208, but he knocked the blower off the top of the motor. 59.8, 208, and they dislodged the supercharger. Hey, if you're going to make an omelet, you got to break a couple eggs.
59 with an 8 is close to his best ever in that car, because I think he went a 59 with a 1 in the final of the Snowbirds.
Yeah, I believe so.
But if that is their race day tune-up, buckle up.
That places him third in the qualifying order. He just displaced Mickey down to fourth. Now let's get a look at it from the top end here, and let's see how long this thing hung in there before the blower gave up the ghost.
Oh, it was right at the stripe.
Yeah.
Right at the stripe.
It's got to be an attention getter when all of a sudden it's like, man, oh, no, yeah.
It almost seemed like it was after he had the shoots out, like it was a little bit past the finish line.
He might have went 700 feet on that
run.
But
you saw it carry the wheels like we talked about before the run there.
And it does it so well. I guess we're checking the track, make sure nothing out there before we send these next guys. And another crazy matchup.
Yeah, this is officially the deep end of the pool here, as we have Travis Harvey and Mark Mickey side by side. And if there is somebody who wants to go for a third year straight.
Yeah. A 3,600 and a 3,599.
Yeah.
So that's a matchup right there.
That is a matchup.
And Travis is a killer on the tree, so.
And Mickey has been the #1 qualifier at the U.S. Street Nationals 2 years in a row. That is not a streak he wants to break.
Yeah, I'm sure not. I'm sure he's going to. One thing about Mark Mickey and the team, when they came up here, they let it all hang out. Whatever they can run, they usually run it. So if they get down the clean pass, we're going to see something good.
And here comes Travis Harvey to be his foil in this matchup. The Flying H drag strip logos on the rear quarter panels of Mark Mickey's car. I'm not sure there's even been bracket racer or test and tune racers that have made more laps down that track than Mark Mickey has in this car.
So many that he had to build a shop just down the road.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get too far from this place.
It's crazy how many people call BMP their home track that don't live in Florida. Mark Mickey's on that list.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
And you got Travis Harvey. Obviously, we talk about his driving skill, but they've got a car underneath him now.
Yeah.
And this is not something that I think came easily for them. They've been chipping away at this combination and really refining it over the last year or two. Talked to Eric Holland and those guys over there tuning this car.
And they got the Red Hat Mafia right behind them, so you know they're going to do something good. I wonder if that car misses me. I miss it.
Both teams now bringing their drivers ahead just to the very edge of the pre-stage B.
That's what hooked you, though, Vic, right? A couple passes in this car.
Yeah, I mean, that car, in a way, ruined my life.
You're not the only one. Mickey had to take another bite of that one. The finish line, a 362.1 on one side, a 362.1 on the other. A speed differential of 10 miles an hour. 219.51 miles an hour for Mark Mickey in the turbo car. Big numbers out of that baby, but bigger numbers ET-wise came out of Kai Kelly, and Don O'Neill's with him.
Here we go. All right, Kai Kelly, you're low of the round now, but when you come around the corner, we said, ooh, that's not supposed to look like that.
Yeah. Man, it was a good pass. I made it to the finish line, and I went to lift, and the throttle was stuck. So I pulled on the hook a couple times, and it was still stuck. So I killed it like over 10,000 RPMs, and it popped the blower. So I'm sure it hit the limiter and popped the blower. But anyway, in that situation, the car's not balled up. My blower's still connected to my car, so we can go back, and I think we got no parts to fix that.
What did you tell Billy when he rode off with the chip?
Told him good tune up. he come got the SD card, and I'm like, what about the blower? The blower sideways. Nah, it's a childhood dream to have Billy Stacklin in my pit, so man, so that's cool. And I don't think nobody else out here has got better tuners than I got, that's for sure.
Well, folks, we got to let him go because he's got to fix the supercharger. We'll see what Kai does in round number 3.
What is a professional? A professional is a person who, when confronted with a situation like he was, does exactly what he needed to do. Yeah. Throttle hung open. If you go,
even tell.
If you freeze up, you got a problem. And yes, you had mentioned it. You caught it. You said maybe he drove at 700 feet. Well, the car drove itself 700 feet, and he got it handled before it became a disaster. Final pair: Ken Curtuccio and Jason Scruggs.
Now this is a matchup. That run that Jason Scruggs made off the trailer,
pretty,
gave me goosebumps. So I'm excited to see what happens here. Are they going to try to go faster? Are they going to try to get their race day tune up? Either way, it's going to be a drag race.
And I do have to clarify myself from yesterday. Steve Petty is tuning the car that Ken Curtuccio is driving.
Yes.
So I wanted to make sure I got that right this time as we go across the racetrack and get a look at Jason Scruggs. Mitchell Scruggs is over there. Paul Cartwright, the whole crew.
Scruggs had the wheels up about 600 feet yesterday. Let's see how it goes today.
Going nowhere today, but Ken Curtuccio sure is. 359.0 at 209 miles an hour for Wallingford, Connecticut's Ken Curtuccio. 209.10 for Scruggs' car. It just simply quit when he got it on the two-step.
Yeah, we talked about cars that just run well here. Ken Q, these guys, they're going to be deadly again on race day. With his driving, his reaction time. If you watch the way he just tickles the bulb every round of qualifying.
He knows this track very well, too. He's always done well here in whatever he's driven. He was the runner-up last year at U.S. Street, runner-up at Snowbirds this year. So he's definitely looking to get in the winner's circle.
Going to take a quick peek at that run and look at Curtuccio's beautiful 359 to close out this second overall session of Pro Mod qualifying. Scruggs unfortunately had the mechanical issue, and Curtuccio just cruised off into the Florida morning at full throttle. It would be neat for Ken. He won the U.S. Nationals last year in Indianapolis. If he could pull home the U.S. Street Nationals and bookend both ends of that thing, it would be perfect.
And I might be his good luck charm. That was my first ever NHRA race.
That's right. That's right, too. Well, fellas, that was an absolutely exceptional second round of qualifying. We're going to work on getting our qualifying orders squared away. We'll be back to update you on all that good stuff. And thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was a
That
pleasure,
was fun.
Victor.
Thank you for having us up here, Brian.
Mike Carpenter.
It's an honor to have you here, man.
Yeah.
We love having you here, calling the action on Flo. And we'll see what this last qualifier's got in store for us.
Both you fellas are obviously welcome back anytime you want to roll in. We're gonna re-rack this thing a little bit later this afternoon with the intensity level totally off the charts. And so as our radio prep gets going, we're going to send this right back over to the other side of the building where we have Steve Logan and Al Tucci to get you up on the action.
So Jason Scruggs and company will go back. So a little track prep for the Radio Outlaws coming up here in their points race number 2. Started out in Orlando.